They say retirement is when you finally slow down, take peaceful morning walks, sip coffee without an alarm clock, maybe even join a yoga class that starts after 10 a.m. But what if your golden years came with car alarms instead of calm mornings? That's the reality in some parts of America right now. Welcome to 10 Most Dangerous U.S. Cities for Retirees, where safety, serenity, and savings don't mix. Proudly brought to you by Across the United States, the channel that helps you figure out where to live smart, not scared. Here's the thing. While the U.S. has plenty of peaceful towns perfect for aging gracefully, there are a few cities where retirees face a triple threat: rising violent crime rates, weak healthcare infrastructure, and neighborhoods that go dark faster than your Wi-Fi in a thunderstorm. According to national safety reports, crime in certain metro areas has jumped by over 20% since 2020. And older adults are among the most vulnerable when response times lag and services crumble. We're not here to scare you. Okay, maybe just enough to get you thinking twice before packing those golf clubs. Because some cities, no matter how charming they look on postcards, might have you double locking your doors and triple checking your retirement plan. So grab your coffee and maybe your reading glasses, because this list is one you'll definitely want to watch till the end. Before we begin, please hit that like and subscribe button, and stay tuned to Across the United States, where we turn relocation from a gamble into a strategy. Number 10. St. Louis, Missouri. If there's one city where retirees might need nerves of steel, it's St. Louis. The city continues to rank among the most dangerous in the United States, with violent crime rates that regularly make national headlines. According to recent analyses, St. Louis recorded one of the highest homicide rates per 100,000 residents, a grim statistic that says a lot about daily life in some neighborhoods. For retirees who dream of peaceful evenings on the porch or slow strolls through the park, the reality can be quite different here. Now, that's not to say St. Louis doesn't have charm. The Gateway Arch, the Missouri Botanical Garden, and the vibrant blues music scene all paint a lovely picture. But the problem isn't what's beautiful, it's what's happening just a few blocks away. Many areas struggle with property crime, car break-ins, and shootings, and even longtime residents often say you have to know your streets to stay safe. For older adults with limited mobility, that unpredictability can make simple errands feel like a logistical mission. Then there's the healthcare question. While St. Louis is home to respected institutions like Barnes-Jewish Hospital, accessibility depends heavily on neighborhood choice. Some retirees find that living closer to these medical centers means higher costs, and stepping too far outside the safe zones introduces new safety concerns. Add in rising living costs and property taxes, and the math for aging comfortably doesn't always add up. To be fair, the city has made efforts to improve community safety through neighborhood revitalization and expanded policing, but progress has been slow and uneven. Retirees looking for calm and community often find the contrast between charming and chaotic a little too wide. So here's the big question. If you had to choose between affordable housing and personal safety, which would you prioritize for your golden years? Would you still consider a place like St. Louis worth the gamble? Or is peace of mind priceless at this stage of life? Number 9. Flint, Michigan. If your daily checklist includes check the water filter more than check the mail, you might be in Flint. Flint has become almost synonymous with two words no retiree ever wants to hear: unsafe water. Even years after the crisis that made national headlines, trust in Flint's infrastructure is still shaky. While officials insist the water system is improving, residents, especially older adults, remain understandably skeptical. For retirees, clean water isn't a luxury. It's essential for health, cooking, medication, and everyday living. When that basic need feels uncertain, stress levels rise and daily comfort disappears. But water isn't Flint's only problem. The city continues to face economic struggles and higher than average violent crime rates compared to national levels. Once a thriving industrial hub, Flint has spent decades grappling with job loss, poverty, and population decline. For retirees, that translates to fewer local businesses, shrinking social spaces, and neighborhoods that can feel deserted or unsafe after dark. Then there's healthcare, or rather the lack of easy access to it. While there are hospitals and clinics in the region, public health reports often highlight gaps in medical services, especially for seniors who rely on home health aides or regular checkups. Combine that with aging housing stock, unreliable public transit, and cold Michigan winters, and you've got a recipe for isolation, one of the biggest challenges for older adults. Still, it's not all doom and gloom. Flint's residents are resilient, and there's a growing network of community groups working to rebuild trust and improve safety. There's art, music, and a strong sense of local pride among those who've stayed. But rebuilding a city's soul and its plumbing takes time. So the question for retirees becomes this: how much uncertainty are you willing to live with in exchange for affordable housing and a strong sense of community? Because in Flint, the cost of living might be low, but peace of mind could come with a filter attached. Number 8. Stockton, California. Once a booming agricultural hub and gateway to California's gold country, Stockton now faces a different kind of reputation, one that has retirees clutching their purses a little tighter. While it's not all bad news, the city has struggled with high property crime rates and pockets of violent activity that can make even simple daily routines feel risky. Package theft, car break-ins, and street robberies remain persistent issues in certain neighborhoods. For a retiree who just wants to enjoy a calm walk or grab a coffee without scanning every corner, Stockton's unpredictability can be exhausting. Public safety is another sore spot. The city has faced budget challenges for years, which means limited police resources in some areas. Fewer patrols and slower response times can make residents feel vulnerable, especially those living alone or with mobility issues. Add that to the fact that some neighborhoods are still recovering from foreclosure-era blight, and you get streets where a few neglected houses can shift the entire sense of security. And then there's healthcare, arguably one of the most important factors for retirees. Stockton's medical facilities are decent but strained, especially in underserved districts. Long wait times, understaffed clinics, and transportation hurdles make it harder for seniors to get consistent care. Imagine trying to schedule a checkup and having to coordinate it around safety concerns and bus routes that don't always feel safe after sunset. Not exactly the carefree retirement most envision. Still, Stockton isn't without its bright spots. The Delta waterways, farmers markets, and vibrant cultural mix give the city some genuine charm, but the question is whether that charm outweighs the stress of everyday caution. So here's something to think about. If your retirement dream includes gardening, reading, and peaceful evenings, would you be willing to trade that for constant lock-checking and alertness? Because in Stockton, the sun shines warm, but you might spend too much time watching your doorstep to really enjoy it. Number 7. Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham is one of those cities that looks picture-perfect on paper. Southern charm, rolling hills, friendly people, and a low cost of living that seems ideal for retirees. But look a little closer, and you'll see why some retirees hesitate to unpack their bags here. Despite its warm hospitality and rich history, Birmingham struggles with high violent crime rates, economic inequality, and service gaps that can make life more complicated for older adults. In recent crime analyses, Birmingham has consistently ranked among the top U.S. cities for violent incidents per capita, with issues like armed robbery and assault occurring more frequently than the national average. Certain neighborhoods, especially in the western and northern parts of the city, tend to experience the highest concentration of these incidents. While not every area is dangerous, retirees have to be strategic, almost tactical, about where they choose to live. Now let's talk about something that hits closer to home for seniors: emergency response and healthcare access. When seconds count, Birmingham's slower police and ambulance response times can make those minutes feel like hours. And while the city does have reputable hospitals like UAB Hospital, the challenge lies in accessibility. Many retirees living outside the core area find themselves far from major medical centers and dependent on limited public transportation. Not the most comforting setup when health becomes unpredictable. Economic stress also plays a role. Pockets of poverty and underfunded infrastructure mean some neighborhoods lack good lighting, road maintenance, or safe sidewalks, all small but significant hazards for older residents. Add to that Alabama's often unpredictable weather, and you've got a mix that makes daily life a little more nerve-wracking than nostalgic. Sure, Birmingham still has that southern warmth and community feel. You'll find friendly neighbors and great barbecue on almost every corner. But when the lights go down and the sirens start, charm alone can't mask the cracks. So ask yourself this: would you rather spend your golden years sipping sweet tea in comfort, or keeping one ear open for the sound of an approaching ambulance that might take its time getting there? Number 6. Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland is a city with soul. From its rock and roll roots to its lakeside skyline, it's the kind of place that feels rich with history and community. But for retirees hoping for an easy, worry-free chapter, the heart of the Rust Belt comes with some sharp edges. Behind the charming neighborhoods and cultural gems lies a city still wrestling with high crime rates, harsh winters, and uneven infrastructure that can make daily living far from comfortable for older adults. According to recent data, Cleveland continues to record above-average violent crime and property crime compared to national levels. While certain neighborhoods like Ohio City and Tremont are revitalizing beautifully, others remain plagued by break-ins, robberies, and even shootings. It's a city of contrasts. One block might be filled with trendy cafes and dog walkers, while the next has boarded-up homes and flickering streetlights. For retirees with limited mobility or those living alone, that inconsistency creates constant anxiety about safety. And let's not forget the cold. Cleveland's winters are not for the faint of heart. Snow, ice, and freezing winds turn simple errands into mini adventures. For older adults, that means potential falls, power outages, and isolation during long stretches of bad weather. Even public transportation can be hit or miss, with gaps in routes that make it tough to reach hospitals or senior centers easily. Healthcare, to Cleveland's credit, is a strong point. Cleveland Clinic is one of the best in the nation. But being close enough to benefit from that level of care depends on where you can afford to live. Some retirees find the neighborhoods around major hospitals safe but expensive, while others live farther out and deal with longer, riskier commutes. Cleveland is undeniably resilient. It's a city that's constantly reinventing itself. Yet for retirees seeking simplicity, reliability, and peace, the daily balancing act between comfort and caution might wear thin. So if you had to pick between world-class healthcare and neighborhood peace of mind, which would win out in your retirement plan? Number 5. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Philadelphia is a city that wears its history proudly. Cobblestone streets, colonial charm, and enough cheese-steak shops to feed an army of retirees. But beneath the Liberty Bell shine lies a city that can be tough to navigate, especially for older adults hoping to enjoy a quiet, secure retirement. While it's packed with culture and energy, Philly's crime rates and infrastructure challenges often make daily living a balancing act between excitement and anxiety. Philadelphia's crime rate has been a major concern for years, with certain neighborhoods, particularly in North and West Philly, reporting some of the highest rates of robberies and assaults in the country. For retirees, the dangers aren't always about walking into the wrong alley. They're about the creeping fear of carjackings, scams, and theft, which tend to target seniors more frequently. Imagine stepping out for groceries and worrying about both your wallet and your car keys. That's reality for many Philadelphians. Even getting around can be tricky. Many retirees rely on public transit or walking, but the city's uneven sidewalks, aging infrastructure, and unpredictable weather make mobility more challenging than you'd expect. SEPTA buses and subways connect much of the city, but delays, occasional safety issues, and limited access in certain neighborhoods mean you might think twice before heading out after dark. Healthcare access is another mixed bag. Philadelphia is home to some top-tier hospitals, like the University of Pennsylvania Hospital and Jefferson Health. But accessibility depends heavily on where you live and what you can afford. In lower-income or high-crime areas, healthcare facilities and pharmacies can feel miles away, both literally and figuratively. That's not to say Philly doesn't have heart. Its neighborhoods are rich with community spirit, local pride, and history on every corner. But when safety and accessibility start competing with charm and nostalgia, retirees have some tough decisions to make. So, if you had the choice, would you rather spend your golden years surrounded by history, or spend them constantly watching your back while waiting for an Uber that might never come. Number 4. Memphis, Tennessee. Ah, Memphis, the home of Elvis, blues, and barbecue. It's a city that oozes soul and Southern culture, but for retirees seeking peace and security, that rhythm sometimes comes with a few too many police sirens in the mix. Memphis has long been known for its rich music scene and affordable cost of living, yet it also consistently lands near the top of violent crime rankings among large U.S. cities. A troubling fact that can make even the most resilient retirees think twice. The numbers don't lie. In recent FBI data, Memphis ranks among the highest for violent crime per capita, with frequent reports of assaults, robberies, and gun-related incidents. The reality is that certain neighborhoods, particularly in South and North Memphis, face ongoing struggles with gang activity and under-policed zones. For seniors who dream of quiet evening strolls, that unpredictability turns what should be a leisurely walk into a calculated decision about time and location. But it's not just the crime that makes Memphis risky for retirees. It's the ripple effects. Emergency response times in high-crime areas can be slower due to heavy call volumes, which isn't exactly reassuring when health emergencies strike. And while Memphis boasts some respected healthcare centers, including Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare and Baptist Memorial Hospital, the accessibility gap between safer and more affordable neighborhoods can leave retirees caught between cost and convenience. There's also the emotional toll. Constant concern about safety can lead to isolation. And for seniors, that's one of the most damaging factors for long-term well-being. Social gatherings, church events, or community outings become less appealing when every trip outside carries a question mark. Still, Memphis has its strengths: warm people, deep culture, and some of the best live music anywhere in America. But culture alone can't quiet the unease that comes with hearing sirens as often as song. So here's something to chew on. Would you trade safety for soul? Because in Memphis, the soundtrack is unforgettable. But so are the headlines. Number 3. New Orleans, Louisiana. New Orleans is a city that knows how to live. The food, the music, the energy, it's all larger than life. But for retirees hoping to settle down in peace and quiet, the Big Easy might not be so easy after all. Behind the Mardi Gras beads and jazz-filled nights lies a city still wrestling with crime, aging infrastructure, and unpredictable weather, all of which can make retirement here more stressful than serene. While city officials have reported some declines in violent crime in recent years, New Orleans continues to rank among America's more dangerous metro areas. Certain neighborhoods, especially in the eastern and central parts of the city, still see high homicide and robbery rates, and police response times can vary widely depending on where you live. For seniors, that inconsistency can mean feeling unsafe walking to a nearby park, waiting for a bus, or even answering the door at night. Then there's the infrastructure problem. Streetlights that go out and stay out, potholes big enough to swallow your tires, and aging drainage systems that groan under heavy rain, all part of the city's daily reality. Add in the constant flood risk and hurricane threats, and you've got a recipe for anxiety if you're an older adult relying on consistent utilities and emergency support. When storms hit, evacuation and recovery can be particularly tough for retirees with mobility challenges or health issues. Healthcare access is improving, but unevenly. While major centers like Ochsner Health and Tulane Medical Center provide quality care, the path to getting there, both financially and logistically, isn't always straightforward. Some retirees find themselves living in areas with limited access to primary care or unreliable public transit. Still, it's hard not to fall in love with the culture, the second-line parades, the gumbo, the warmth of the people. But as many locals will tell you, living in New Orleans means constantly balancing joy and caution. So would you rather spend your golden years one block from live jazz, or one block from worry every time the streetlights flicker and the skies turn gray? Number 2. Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore is one of those cities that perfectly blends beauty and grit. On one hand, you've got the scenic Inner Harbor, historic row houses, and some of the best seafood in the country. On the other hand, you've got a reputation that makes even longtime residents cautious after sunset. The city has made real strides in cutting violent crime recently, with with reports showing one of the lowest homicide counts in decades as of 2024 to 2025, progress worth celebrating. But for retirees, Baltimore still comes with a few too many ifs for comfort. The main issue? Safety by zip code. Baltimore is a city of extremes. A few streets can separate charming walkable neighborhoods from areas struggling with violent crime, drug activity, and neglected infrastructure. For retirees, that unpredictability can be tough to manage. Imagine having to research not just the city, but the specific block before deciding whether it's safe enough to walk your dog or visit the local market. While crime numbers are improving, robberies, car thefts, and property crimes continue to affect daily life. For seniors, especially those who live alone, that sense of vulnerability can be overwhelming. And even if you find a good area, the constant talk of which neighborhoods to avoid can chip away at the peace of mind retirees value most. Then there's healthcare. Baltimore is home to Johns Hopkins Hospital, one of the best in the world, and University of Maryland Medical Center, both offering top-tier care. But accessibility varies depending on where you live, and traffic or safety concerns can make even short trips stressful. Public transportation options are limited in certain parts of the city, which can be a real challenge for retirees who no longer drive. Still, there's no denying Baltimore's charm. The culture, the harbor views, the food scene, and the passionate community spirit. The city's improving, but it's a work in progress. So here's a question for anyone eyeing Baltimore for retirement. Can you really relax in a city where your sense of safety depends on which direction you turn out of your driveway? Number 1. Detroit, Michigan. Detroit's story is legendary. A city that's been to rock bottom and has fought its way back with grit, art, and innovation. But even with its comeback energy, Detroit still sits near the top of national violent crime rankings. The city has made measurable progress. Homicides and overall violent crime have dropped in recent years, a fact city officials proudly highlight. Yet that improvement isn't spread evenly. Some neighborhoods are thriving, while others still face serious safety and infrastructure challenges. For retirees, that unevenness matters. Safety can shift dramatically from one block to the next, and that makes choosing where to live more than a lifestyle question. It's a survival strategy. While parts of downtown and midtown are seeing renewal, many residential zones still struggle with slow emergency response times, vacant properties, and limited street lighting, all of which heighten everyday risk. Healthcare access follows a similar pattern. Detroit has excellent hospitals and clinics, but they're not evenly distributed, and getting reliable transport across town isn't always simple. For seniors who depend on regular appointments, or who might not drive anymore, that can become a real challenge. Add in the emotional weight of living in a city where crime headlines remain frequent, and where economic inequality is visible on nearly every street, and retirement here requires a strong stomach and a careful plan. Still, Detroit has heart. Its people, art scene, and sense of resilience are unmatched. But for retirees prioritizing peace, convenience, and safety, Detroit might feel less like a peaceful landing spot and more like a balancing act between optimism and caution. So the question stands, is a city's comeback worth the risk if it comes at the cost of your peace of mind? And there you have it, 10 cities where peaceful retirement might need a bodyguard. If you enjoyed this countdown, smash that like button, drop a comment on which city surprised you most, and don't forget to subscribe to Across the United States for more sharp, funny, and eye-opening guides to where Americans are really living, leaving, and loving. Because when it comes to retirement, choosing the right zip code might just be your best investment yet. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.